Hey guys, I know I haven't been making that many videos recently. I've been quite busy with work, with studying, with writing some papers. So I decided that since there aren't that many interesting films, at least for me personally, that are coming out this year, this early part of the year, I've decided to just make some reviews of classics that I love, classics that I've recently watched. And I'm trying to be more positive with my reviews. I'm trying to talk about more classic cinema because I am watching a lot of them recently. And I hope that in some way I can share my passion with you guys and maybe you can discover some classics that maybe you haven't even heard of. So stay tuned for more after this first review. Army of Shadows, or Les Armées des Ombres, is a 1969 war film directed by Jean-Pierre Melville. And Melville has become a very famous director among cinephiles mainly. It is quite hard for you to actually hear people talk about him in mainstream circles, but he has been a really influential director. Do you love Reservoir Dogs? Do you love the action films from John Woo, especially The Killer? Well, you have to owe all of those successes to Jean-Pierre Melville. He has become quite famous for making crime films that are quite atypical. They aren't about macho heroes, gunfight or the likes. They're about depressed characters, very sad criminals. They're very artistic films, very slow-moving, and truly some of the best crime films ever made, especially Le Samouraï, which came out in '67, if I'm not mistaken. And Les Armées des Ombres is probably my favorite film of his. It's a World War II war movie that is very much different from many other films in the genre, especially for the time that it came out in, because in the 60s there were many movies that glorified the conflict, especially World War II. If you take movies like The Dirty Dozen, which came out a few years earlier, those were all movies about groups of men who trained hard, who fought harder, they destroyed the Nazis, they were great heroes, everything was great, yay, and God bless American, Euro, and everyone. But the great aspect about Army of Shadows is that this is first of all about the resistance fighters in France. And second, this is an incredibly grey film, visually, in terms of story, in terms of character. This is one of the most unheroic war movies ever made. There is not a single fuck yeah moment in this entire picture. It is quite bleak, quite depressing, sometimes even hard to watch. It's about resistance fighters who are trying to do their best to fight off the Nazi invasion of France in the 40s, but they are unable to succeed and they are forced to commit some heinous crimes. For example, there is a moment where one of those men has betrayed the entire group, so they have to take him, they have to kill him, and they have to find a way to kill him silently, trying to avoid being heard by people in other houses. And it's just incredibly dark. It's a very dark film, gorgeously shot, with really terrific long takes, great landscape shots, and the performances are terrific. It's everyone, especially Lino Ventura. I was confusing him with another actor. Lino Ventura as the main character of the film. You see the evolution of this character. Already he is a very committed person to the cause in the beginning, but you can see him losing more and more hope as he goes forward. This film takes place around 1 year in the life of these resistance fighters, and you see a man who just tries to do everything he can to improve the situation, but is just unable to. And there is one of the most terrifying moments in the film comes when he's captured by the Nazis and he's in a prison camp and is about to be executed with other people, and they're forced to run down this long-ass corridor while they're being shot at with heavy machine guns. And you see this man who just doesn't want to run. Does he even have to run? Is it worth it? Is it worth it to play the game of these people? It's a very fascinating film, almost philosophical in its thoughts, and it gets to an ending that is an incredible gut punch. It just shows how futile some of these actions are, how even if you try to avoid your destiny, you will still just end up fulfilling it sooner or later. And I do think this is a very, not underrated as much as it is underseen war film. If you like films like Come and See from '85, and other war cinema that isn't about glorifying these conflicts but about showing the humanity, how these people are just dirty and living miserable lives and there is no glory in war whatsoever, then I definitely think you will love Army of Shadows. It is a very, very long film, 2 hours and a half long, but trust me, it is worth it. It is really, really worth it. So I highly, highly recommend you watch this film. But then again, have you actually watched Army of Shadows? Do you like it, do you dislike it? And which is your favorite Jean-Pierre Melville film? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching, to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.